That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You have come to another episode of Talk to the Doctor. And this morning, I'm sitting with Mark Gabriel, also known as Scabs. And this man is a once pro surfer, skater, snowboarder, motocross, artist. These things are all what this man does. I want to welcome you into my studio, my man.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I think I've watched about 16 of your 25 episodes. Once I saw that you had it, because I saw you advertising that you were going to do it, I think, before. So then once I knew that you had started, I was like, I got to figure out what the doctor's doing.
I know, and I really get inspired by when you tell me you've been watching. It makes me feel really good.
I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh,
you know, I watched Nathan's, the Archie, the Timmy Patterson one.
Yeah, because those are your boys right there.
Hans Silstra, is it?
Hans Silstra.
Hans Silstra.
Yeah.
All these people that I watched on your show, I've known these people for 30 years. But when I watched the show, I learned so much more about them.
You know, you're digging into the underbelly of what we do here at Talk to the Doctor. So
Yes.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to do that with you, my man.
Okay.
We got you in the studio. Let's just go straight in. Like, you know, where did it all start for you in a sense of like that moment in your childhood where you clicked over to like kind of knowing what you wanted to do?
When I was like 4 or 5, my parents used to take me to Hawaii. And I went
At 4 or 5?
Yeah, I went
Sick.
to Alamo, we'd get off the plane, and the first place we'd go is Nancy Lang's dress shop. My Aunt Nancy owned Nancy Lang's dress shop in Kahala Mall.
Wow.
She would have high-end dresses and just really nice floral prints, kind of like the Hoffman fabrics type style floral prints.
Oh, wow, cool, yeah.
So I get off the plane, and all of a sudden I'm walking around this dress shop going, I'm in Hawaii. Is this what we have to do first? Can't we go to the beach? Like, we always go to this dress shop, and it's my Aunt Nancy's, you know, but, and then my Aunt Nancy, her husband was Bob Lang, my Uncle Bob. My Uncle Bob was one of the first radio broadcasters on Oahu. From 1940, he went there and had his own radio station where he was like the DJ, and my Uncle Bob recorded a lot of the early Hawaiian artists.
Oh, like Don Ho type stuff?
Yes, and so he would record a lot of early Hawaiian artists. So that's kind of where my love for the saltwater and the good weather and that stuff kind of...
Introduced to Hawaii through a unique way in 5 years old.
5 years old, and we would always go to the Outrigger Canoe Club 1 or 2 nights a week at least, because my Aunt Nancy and Uncle Bob were members there forever. So we'd get off the plane, boom, go see them, go to the dress shop, go to their house, put our stuff away, and then usually Outrigger Canoe Club. And right there you got the wall, and kind of by ins and outs over there on that side of Waikiki, kind of where Buttons told me he learned to surf.
Yeah. Down in that part of town.
Buttons always told me, I that's where I learned to surf. My dad would leave me at home.
And what spot was that?
8 years old in Waikiki. There's a spot called the Wall.
The Wall, yeah. I know where it is.
You ride the wave in, it hits the wall, and then you could ride the wave back out.
I remember that. I've been there.
So I think Outrigger Canoe Club is kind of near there.
Kind of close to there, yeah.
But
how cool.
Buttons would tell me, yeah, bro, I wouldn't have any supervision, so my dad would say, don't leave the house, and he'd sneak down there and ride half of surfboards and like broken longboards, and that's how he learned to do 360s and kind of surf like
what a cool story for Buttons, man. I mean, what if he was how cool would that be if he was alive and we could have him in, you know?
Yeah,
oh my
that would be
gosh,
awesome.
right? Because he used to come here in the 70s and surf with the pier, and Bertelman and the boys used to come to the pier when we were groms. And it's like, we were just sitting there and go, there's Bertelman and Buttons and Liddell at our beach with midget. Like, we'd be sitting there just, you know, we weren't Star Trek kids or whatever. You know, we took it in stride, but it was still pretty cool to see them. But the bottom line is they were surfing our waves, being cool about it too, not being dicks. Like, they were being super cool about it.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't just paddling out all being gnarly. They were just sharing waves and having fun and blowing our mind. But then the main thing about Buttons was when at nighttime, the parties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's an incredible personality. I knew him a lot from Maui days, too, when I lived there.
He was, he would always, whenever he came over, I was very lucky to get introduced to him. But when he come over here, he'd always go to Quicksilver, Billabong, Hurley, whoever had product, he was going to get stuff for his family because he had 8, 10 kids. He's always trying to collect stuff from his families. And I was like, one day I was like, we had an art show at the Mint Fine Art Gallery, like a show with buttons, all his photos at my gallery in Dana Point. It was really cool. And I was like, Buttons, I was like, who are you sponsored by, brah? And he's all, I'm sponsored by everybody, brah. He goes, whoever has the budget, that's who I ride for. I thought that was funny.
I know when you think about it, I can't think of him in association with a brand, like how some people, Quicksilver,
Right.
some people were this way. Some people switched enough that was a little sketchy
Right.
for them because they didn't have that brand loyalty, right?
Yes.
But it's like he was like the flip side of that, right? He was back in the day when it was like, yeah, man, what do you got? Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he never really was associated with a brand.
Yeah, he had some sponsors. I remember he was with Local Motion for
Oh, I
a
remember
while.
that, yeah.
And then he was always would represent Dahui.
Right. Since inception, he was with them. But I mean, in terms of like his whole life, but anyway, Buttons is rad. So cool you did that, had that connection with him. So you're 5 years old. You're in Hawaii. We're going back. You're in Hawaii. And did you surf? When was the first time you got in the water?
I actually went surfing when I was 4 or 5. My mom pulled out a photo. And I never remembered surfing that young. I thought I started surfing when I was 12, but I must have caught a few waves when I was so young. I don't know why I didn't remember riding that wave. Then my mom pulled out the photo, and I remember actually standing on that wave. It was just a little wave at Waikiki, and I have on the photo of it, it's like I'm riding the back of the wave.
Oh, that one when it goes back?
Yeah, kind of never, not ins and outs, but
okay.
I must have paddled and got up, but the wave had passed me.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm on the back of the wave, but it's still, it's
got a little pull,
me a little bit around, so I was so happy my mom pulled that photo out. Cause
when was that? When did she pull that out?
She pulled that out like about 2 years ago.
Cool. Okay.
50 years after
It's just
catching
insane,
that wave.
right? So you recently saw that,
And I was like, I guess I did start surfing
when you were
when
5.
I was a little kid.
Sick. Okay. So then how did that translate to, moving forward from you're 5 years old, you get your first wave at Waikiki, you're hanging out in Waikiki with all these experiences you're talking about. And then at one point you come back to California?
Yes, I think I tried surfing one other time in Hawaii. I was probably around 10.
Okay.
And all I remember is someone taking me out and being upside down underwater. I don't remember the guy saying, okay, stand up now, or any of that stuff. I just, from that experience, and then I didn't want to ever surf again until basically I boogie boarded at, I would go down to Poche and started bodyboarding at Salt Creek. And then when I was at Salt Creek, I was about 13. No, I was about 14. And I met Christian and Nathan Fletcher.
Where?
At Salt Creek.
You met Christian and Nathan when Nathan was a full grown.
I had a boogie board.
And Nathan was like what?
Nathan
5?
was 6.
6, okay.
And I had my school ID. I think I was in like 9th grade. And he was like, for some reason we had my school ID out. And he's like, my last name's Gabriel. And he read my school ID. He's all Mark Gibbles. Because he was only 6, he couldn't really read. And just so happened, on that day I met them at Salt Creek. The next day I was moving to Beach Road.
Trippy.
And that's where their grandparents, Walter and Tutu Hoffman, they grew up at the end of the road. And I happened to just move 2 doors down from their grandparents. And since they were big surfers, they lived at their grandparents' house because that was the beach.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh, how cool is that?
That's kind of where I started my whole surf.
Sick.
I mean,
and you were kind of between Nathan and Christian in age? Like, were you in the middle of them or more closer to Christian?
I'm
kind of in the middle?
2 years older than Christian. So.
Oh, you're older than Christian,
yeah.
Much older than Nathan. And so, yeah, you clicked in with those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? So was it, at that stage of your life, now you're living on Beach Road. For those who don't know, that's down in Capo Beach, right at the border of San Clemente and Capo. Yes. A lot of rad people live down on that stretch, right? It's just full beach,
Yeah.
And then, it's such a classic story. Like a friend of mine's, Don Crummer's grandpa was offered lots at Beach Road back in like the 3rd, 4th, whatever, ancient history, and they were $400. But anyway, so you start clicking in, and you're on Beach Road, and you're starting to surf.
Yeah, I started surfing. I mean, after I met Nathan and Christian, I was on my way to wanting to become a pro motocross racer. But during those years, right around 13, 14, I'd been racing 5 years, 4 days a week, Orange County, OCIR, Corona, Indian Dunes, Carlsbad, De Anza, just so set on the motorcycle career. Every track that I knew of almost closed down. Saddleback closed down, then Indian Dunes, Corona, OCIR. They all closed for insurance reasons because everybody got sue happy in the early 80s. And there's, someone breaks a leg every day at the motocross track.
Yeah, but how is that the track's fault?
Yeah, exactly. They sign their waivers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people are going out on the ambulance to the hospital every 2-3
hours.
Every 2 or 3 motos, and you never know.
I mean,
but
we know it's a tough sport. I think that's a given, right? Tell me a little bit about how you started with that. Like, when did that start and how, and what was your influence? You started that young, right?
Yeah,
what age were you when you started motocross?
I started.
So I feel like these two all
9.
kind of converge at one point.
I got a KX80 when I was 9 years old, and that was a pretty powerful bike for a 9-year-old.
And what brought about the interest in that? Like, where did you pick up on, like,
we used to go to the river, and we would just start doing water skiing, and some of our family members out at the river that were really good water skiers, they had some trail bikes, and they would bring the bikes.
Sick.
So I learned kind of how to ride a bike while I was out at the river, like maybe 7, 8 years old, and then I'm like, Dad, I want to get one of these bikes, right? Well, we came home, and a few years later, a year or two later, we went and bought a bike. But the bike we bought was like a rocket ship compared to that bike I was riding out at the river.
Sick.
And I was like,
whoa.
I just wanted a bike. I didn't care what kind. But we went over to Mission Viejo, Honda, Kawasaki off of Avery Parkway on the left there, and walked in, and they had 2 KX80s, 1979. It was already 1980, but the bike was the same model as the 80. They just changed the sticker graphic. So there was 2 left over there. So we bought the 2 bikes for a little cheaper than the new ones.
Do you remember how much they were?
They were $575 for a KX80.
It's just insane.
And the new one, the 1980, was like $675.
And what's funny is, like, right now, if you go buy one of those electric bikes, they're like $3,000.
I know.
It's crazy, right? You go it's just an incredible way the thing. So you actually started surfing first. The first thing you did was you're in Waikiki 5 years old. You got a couple of waves and were like freaked out by that. But then a couple years later, you got introduced, to going to the river. There's biking and all that. So you get a bike by, you're like 9 when you get your bike?
9. Okay,
so you started surfing at 5. You got a bike at 9. But the thing is, from what I understand about you, the biking took over. Like, you got pretty psyched on the biking. You were about to go pro. You were like headed toward a career in pro motorcycle and pro motocross.
Yeah.
Right?
Motocross, yeah.
Motocross. That was your trajectory, right?
Yes.
And then so you went that way, but then all of a sudden it was like a left turn when all of a sudden, tell me if I'm wrong, but something clicked. Was it snowboarding? What took over, and which one took over and made you go, biking's cool and all, but this is cooler?
Let's see, the biking was so cool. I was so set on wanting to become a pro motocross racer.
Because I fully remember that.
And I raced in San Diego Stadium as a 10 or 12, 13-year-old. I raced
San Diego Sports Arena?
Jack Murphy Stadium.
Oh, Jack Murphy.
I raced A1 Anaheim Stadium. I raced
Sick.
It's not the Rose Bowl, the Coliseum.
Oh.
I've jumped through those Coliseum peristyles and out of them probably.
Woo.
How many? See, I did that when I was 12. I probably jumped through the peristyles and out of them, back down. They made a downhill. You jump out of the peristyles. They put wood on the seats of the peristyles, so when you land, you could continue the track.
Insane.
But I probably did that 40 times because
40 times.
A lap.
Yeah.
You go out for practice 7 laps, and then you have a 7-lap moto. Then you have a 7-lap second moto. So you're doing 20 or 30.
Right there, yeah. Wow.
So, but
you aren't messing around, mister. You are not messing around. But, the bottom line is you came in hot on the biking, right?
Yes.
And like fully on that. And then what was it kind of like? Where was the left turn or the right turn, whichever way you took a turn?
Because my parents would drive me to go race, usually 45 minutes or an hour.
Okay.
But
you got to go to the inland to do that most of the time.
Yes. The left turn was once all the tracks closed, I had nowhere to race. Then it's a 2-hour drive because you had Corona, OCIR. There was a lot of racetracks around here. Two main ones that were Orange County Drag Strip, the OCIR. They had a motocross track there Thursday nights. And then I'd race Saturday and Sunday out at Saddleback, the famous motocross park, where all the nationals were held with Jeff Ward, Bob Hanna, Jeff, David Bailey, Mark Barnett, all the Johnny O'Mara.
These are guys that were
these
really
are the best
going.
of the best. And I was a little 80 rider, but these were my heroes.
Okay, the people you looked up to.
I looked up to. So I quit racing when I was in just ready to go intermediate, 80 intermediate. But you move up like a division each year. You know, it's like surfing. You get a little better each year. Better. So I was 14, 15. So by the time I would have been 18 or 19, I would have been well into the pro ranks. Yeah.
But what happened that kind of went left? You know, which sport?
Those tracks closing down.
Okay, the tracks closed down. Then what's, you know, like, so the track closed, but if you didn't have any other influences, you might have just been spanking the monkey.
Yes.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, you know, or probably not. But the thing is, but what I'm saying is, actually there was some other influences that came in, so that we kind of like left turn, like you were doing this, and then what was it that pulled you away? Was it surfing? Was it skateboarding? Was it snowboarding?
Surfing pulled me away because once I moved to Beach Road, that was the year we were moving from Nellie Gill, whether they're tracks and motor riding, horse property, to Beach Road. So once I moved to Beach Road, that was the year the tracks were all closing. The tracks did close, like 2 or 3 of the main ones that I raced at, and that was the year I met Christian Fletcher and Nathan.
Perfect timing.
Once I met them, they had showed me, like, this is what surfing's all about. Herbie had his jet ski down there. I had Nathan and Christian's grandfather, Walter. So they're
big influences.
Big influences. So,
and Herbie, basically, what a just. Wow, you know, all I can say about Herbie is wow. I mean, so many things he brought to the table, and then his sons, right?
Yeah.
It's just like that whole package down there with Walter and the whole thing. It's like, wow, what an influence 2 doors down. But then you pick up on that, you start surfing more, like you're clicking into surfing. And like pretty quickly, from what I understand, you were like surfing, and snowboarding became a big thing that you were known for.
Yeah, snowboarding.
Like, right? So when did that click in? How did we get from surfing to snowboard? Was there skating too? Were you like a guy that, were you ever competing at skating?
I didn't really tell you. When I was probably like 9, 10 to like 14, we were going to Mammoth a lot. And I started skiing a lot. So once... Skiing? Yes. I was a big skier.
Okay.
And I would try to hit the corners like motocross jumps and do all the tricks. So I was really into skiing. So when I started hanging out with Christian and Nathan, those guys were teaching me how to surf a lot. I started learning how to surf. You just started learning. You know, I was on the beach living at Poche. I live on the beach, so I'm starting to progress quick.
Yeah, because I'm
right
in
the
front
beach.
of you.
Yeah, it's right there. And then kind of when snowboarding, when I was 19, snowboarding started getting really popular. And since I had skied 5 years, I was really good on skis. So once I got on the snowboard, because I was really starting to get into surfing at that point with Nathan and Christian, but then snowboarding got popular, and once I started snowboarding, it clicked like that for me.
Oh, yeah.
From the skiing.
Oh, my God.
Once I dropped 2 poles and kicked off one ski, and all I had was this board left underneath me.
Yeah, and going back foot.
I'm just like okay,
I'm surfing on a mountain.
I don't have to, I get to surf on a mountain, and then I had all that snowboard or that skiing experience, and you know, first time I ever stepped on a snowboard, I was 19, and then I was on the cover of Transworld Snowboard magazine at 24.
Nice.
So like in 4 or 5 years, I went from
blew up,
getting to be on the cover of a magazine, and I felt like I just started.
Totally. And I remember when I first saw that happening, I was just like baffled, because I knew of you as you already did so many sports, and I was like, wow, now he's blowing up at that. It's like, it was pretty inspiring for me, being older than you, kind of seeing these groms coming up and what their influences are, and how all of a sudden they're, so it's fair to say that you became one of the first full-blown crossover athletes, surfing, skating, snowboard. I mean, throw skating in there just because I know you skate, but I'm just saying.
Skating was a big practice, if I'm not snowboarding, there's no snow, and I'm not surfing, you're skating.
Yes.
And you're basically standing on a board sideways. So
Same way.
basically, I wasn't that great at like a pro skater, but I would skate a lot.
As training.
Yes. Just how the guys do their surf training with their little, whatever boards, those little boards that everyone uses to train.
Oh,
or the carved boards.
Just different stuff.
Just whatever you could to not imitate, but
so
anything.
Skating wasn't really something you competed at, but it was something you trained, and so you competed at surfing, snowboarding, and motocross.
Yeah, and skating, me, Christian, Nathan, we would always go
skating.
We'd go skate. We'd drive to Pal Peralta Skate Park. I went out with a girl in college, and she lived in Santa Barbara, and Pal Peralta indoor skate park was right there. So in the middle of winter when it'd be freezing, Rincon, we'd stop and surf Rincon once in a while, but we'd go up there and go to the indoor skate park when it was terrible weather and skate.
Totally perfect, because you can't make it. If you can't make it to Mammoth, you just pop over to the skate park, and get like the juices flowing and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, so here we are now. We're pushing forward. We're at a spot where now we're a crossover, right? Yeah. And I really remember there being a time where it was like you were really blowing up at that. Like, seriously, a guy that you knew as a motocross guy, and then you knew that he surfed, and then you see pictures and then you're snowboarding and achieving legit sponsorships and like really. So were you able to be one of the first guys that you explained to me earlier, something about you were at one time, all of those things were in play?
Well, I was sponsored by Quicksilver, but they bought my friend's company. It was called Pirate Surf, and it was kind of like a really cool brand, and they were ahead of their time with their marketing and their just everything about that they did. It was really cool. And so Quicksilver bought them. And, and then they would run ads in a lot of the surf, skate, and snowboard magazines and put pictures of me surfing and skating and snowboarding, because that was at a time before the X Games, probably like 5 years before X Games came out. It was in 95, and X Games started, I think, in 99.
I mean, guys like you inspired X Games. Not trying to get too happy, but I'm going to say it. I mean, I feel like they saw stuff that was going on, and then the business people probably went, something, there is something there.
Yeah.
Let's milk that monkey and try to make a thing called X Games, right?
Yeah.
But guys like you that really conceived of just your passion for all these different sports really is all it came from.
Yeah, I was like trying to live that. I was living the X Games before there was X Games. Surfing, skating, snowboarding, motocross. When I was 8 and 10 years old, I had these little like books in my house. And one book was a water skiing book. The reason I was telling you I got good at snowboarding quickly, I was a good water skier. At 9, I could shore start, just step onto the water on a single ski behind a boat with a 454 blown motor, or I could step onto the water behind a stand-up jet ski, or my brother would be on a stand-up jet ski, and I'd ski behind the jet ski or the boat, whoever.
Sick.
I'd wax boats all day long and tell people, you owe me a tow, 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 so I could go out whenever I wanted.
Sick.
But all that carving and
where was
water,
that, the river out there?
That was the river,
yeah. Nice.
And my grandfather also ran Cottonwood Cove Resort and Marina out in Lake Mead. So by the time I was like 12 years old, I had already been to Vegas like 50 times, because we'd go to see my grandfather at the river like 3 or 4 times a summer. So we'd go to Vegas for a night, river for 4 days, back to Vegas for 2 nights, and back home.
Sick.
So I had already been to Vegas. Like, I knew every street in Vegas, all the casinos.
Nice. I really want to say, what a terrible reality.
I know. But,
sounds so cool to grow up with those kind of influences.
What were we talking about right
I would say, how it all converged in a sense, like you were guys like you were kind of inspiring things like X Games, right?
So that company Pirate Surf I had rode for, my friend Mark Bellinger had started it. He was one of the best surfers to ever come out of Salt Creek. They called him Crazy Kid.
Yeah.
And
well known from your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys for sure.
He's the one that got me going in surfing too, because I would be surfing with the Fletchers on Beach Road a lot, and then I started boogie boarding over at Salt Creek, but then since the Fletchers taught me how to get going in surfing really good, I would ride my moped back to Salt Creek. So it was kind of weird when I was growing up. I was a Salt Creek guy, but then also kind of a San Clemente guy, but I'm not all the way in San Clemente because Poche's right there. So,
but the people you were with,
yeah,
you know, cross that divide pretty damn well, right? I mean,
yeah.
The Fletcher family, iconic, such rad people, just incredible people to happen to be 2 doors down from. You know?
Yeah, and when we moved to Poche, my brother was like 18, so I was like 14, 15, and we would have these big parties, and he would make a dance floor in our side yard because we were right at the end of Beach Road next to, next to Poche, and Walter's house was like the 6th house. We were like the 3rd one. George Hulse was living there. The Disneys lived 2 doors down from us.
Crazy.
And we'd have these big parties, and like I remember like Archie, all these surfers that I knew about that I had never really got to meet would come to these parties.
Oh, sick.
And that was kind of cool. Like, well, these killer surfers from San Clemente are hanging
Showing
out
up
at my house. Like,
that's so cool. I mean, definitely an influence and definitely a cool thing to be around, you know, between Dana Point and San Clemente and Capo.
Yeah.
Pretty power, you know, in its own mellow way, because these are like mellow little beach towns.
Yeah.
But under it, you know, the roots of these towns are so incredibly, there's just so many people here, especially back then. It wasn't filled in with all the Telegas and all the, you know, Laderas and all the, like it was just core communities, and most of those people were involved to some degree in some sort of action sport, because what else, you know, I mean, what else were you going to do here? We got, you know, it's a great place. So now moving forward, when was it that you were able to like click into the gear with like what you do with the Mint? You know,
that kind of came,
you know,
the Mint.
Talk to the Mint doctor.
The Mint doctor, okay. I was going to make my own snowboards, skateboards. I wanted to make a board sport company. Because I'm like, this surfing, skating, snowboarding thing.
Something to this. I want in.
Something to this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so I want to become the first board sport company. So we started making surf, skate, wake, snow, and skimboards. Had a catalog, and you know,
like manufacturing.
Yeah, Timmy would make some of the surfboards, and Mam made a couple. And
under the brand,
just kind of the Mint logo, but they would do
they
shape
would
it.
Oh, go shape it. Yeah, they had their thing.
Logo. I wanted their logo.
Sure, of course you did.
You know? And then this company in Canada would make our snowboards. Skimboards were made by this company called Slot Stick, which this guy Adrian.
Skimboards.
Yeah.
So your brand, the Mint, had surfboards, snowboards, skateboards,
and snowboards,
and snowboards and skimboards, and and wakeboards.
And we even had some wakeboards. It was a full board sport company.
Damn.
And it was pretty good. Like
I remember that too. Where did I see that?
We sold a couple $1 million in stuff for a few years, and
that was the Mint.
And that was the Mint.
I remember that before you had the art gallery. Yeah. The Mint. You had the Mint, the brand with all the boards.
The board sports. Yeah.
Sick. And that was your company?
That was my company. Yeah.
Sole proprietorship? You had a partner? Or?
No, it was my own company. Since I was a pro snowboarder, some Japanese people came to me and they said, we want to start our own snowboard brand. And then I was kind of thinking maybe I want to start my own brand too at the time. And then I told them about the Mint. And they're like, we're cool with that. We'll just take your brand.
Okay.
And they bought 1,000 snowboards off me. And at the time, it was like $375 a board. You know, that was almost $500,000 right
Your cost?
Their cost. So their cost was $375 for a board and bindings. So they bought. You
would sell that to them for $375, and there was money for you in there.
Yeah,
or they would charge more, and you would make money.
They would charge more, but I would charge them $375.
Oh, okay. And there was money in there for you.
And they like bought
$100 for you. You know what I'm saying?
Like
whatever
that.
it was, good for you, dude.
But
talk to the business doctor. I'm just saying that's rad because you're selling boards for $375, and there's money in it for you.
Yeah.
And they're Japanese, and they're buying thousands of them.
So
right?
that was a $375,000 just for their order on their snowboards. So then they bought $170,000 worth of soft goods and some hats, beanies, shirts, whatever.
Merch.
So they bought, I don't know, it was like a little over $500,000. It was over $500,000. So I kind of took the profit off that.
Yeah.
And piggybacked it and got all my samples going for the skateboards, the snowboards, you know.
Smart.
And kind of used that as the Kickstarter.
The Kickstarter money.
Board sports,
Good for you. Sick. So their orders kind of helped you kickstart the brand in a sense, expand it.
It did,
Good
absolutely.
for you. And that went for how long?
I did it from about 95 to 99, only 4 years, but at that time I also had a snowboard. I was a pro snowboarder for another brand I had started. Before that, someone got me involved and wanted me to be a pro snowboarder and have my own signature model.
Sick.
And there were some bad business deals that kind of went down, and it kind of like just depleted a lot of the money that I was supposed to be getting. So at that time, Burton, Sims, Morrow, the big brands were saying, "Hey, you don't even have to give us money for our snowboards. We're going to give you all these snowboards, and after the season's over, you can pay us back." So it became very hard for the little brands to continue on.
To compete with the big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens in almost everything. You know, the big boys come in and eat you alive.
And you know what? I was glad that just to have the years of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I just look at everything as a learning experience. Like, you talk to almost any successful business person, and they have like 20 stories of failure before they finally make it. I mean, of course, there's the lucky. You're a partner, you have another partner, you guys are great, it goes good.
But in general, we learn from our mistakes more than we learn from our successes, right? And thank God for those experiences, because then as we become, you learn so much from that. So good for you. And then, so that's awesome. And then I would say then from there, at some point then, springing from that at some point became Mint Art Gallery vibe.
Yeah, so after I had done some of the snowboard stuff for years there in the snowboard world, being a pro snowboarder, had my own brand, riding for brands.
When you say being a pro snowboarder, was there like a tour like the WSL? Was it like a...
There was. I would go in some of the pro half-pipe competitions, OP Pro, they would have the OP Pros, and this was before X Games, and so it was the OP Pro, the Mountain Dew would have a contest at these resorts, and I'd go to some of those, and I did pretty good in some of the half-pipe contests.
Were you ever like part of a consensus of points to become the world champ?
No.
There was never, was there a system like that?
There was, but when I was becoming a pro snowboarder, parts were starting to get popular, like Herbie Fletcher had
Wave Warriors,
Tweak Freaks, the B-side, all these snowboard and surf movies, and then it was the time where you could get paid to just travel and do video segments. So instead of sitting at a contest waiting for your 30-second run to come up all day, you could just go snowboarding powder. And we did that.
Make sick videos.
And we'd go wherever you want when the snow's good and just film.
Kind of the free surfer versus the competitive surfer, the free snowboarder compared to you were hitting that video circuit going, hey, I could live this life and document it, and we could do well that way. Or I could sit like wait for my heat or whatever. But both were good. You probably did both, right?
I did both.
Yeah, which is a perfect way to converge. I enjoyed both. But you weren't trying to, it's like nowadays, guys that, they're either going to be kind of going the route of who doesn't like an Ian Crane kind of route now, we're not necessarily trying to qualify, but he's got a lot of rad video parts and he does air shows and this and that. He makes a living doing that versus the guys that are really on the QS and really trying to make the Challenger and really try to get on the CT. And that's a path, but typically at one point you choose one or the other.
Yes.
So you kind of chose that one. And then as that evolved, that kind of brought you to somewhere in there. The Mint Art Gallery kind of sprung from, let me ask this real quick. The years that you did all this, and then all of a sudden it seems like there's this talk from you about then the X Games, right? Were you ever invited to the X Games?
By 99, I was basically 30 years old.
Oh, okay. So
I was kind of getting out of the snowboarding because I really did it really serious from like 26, 25. I think I was on the cover. So like 22 to 30, I had like an 8-year run.
Okay. And it was going hard. The timing was right at the kind of toward the end of your run.
Yeah, it was just, that was and like the first year of the X Games. Yeah. And I was kind of like falling back in love with surfing at that point. I'm like, I've done all this snowboarding. Because, see, I became a summer surfer for a lot of years because I was a pro snowboarder. So I moved to Tahoe, lived in Tahoe. And once the snowboarding season was over, when I came back, I'm just like shirt off, trunks,
Totally.
no snowboard boots, no jackets, beanies, all that shit, just done.
Trunks, baby.
And then just walking around the beach, and I'm like, this is just the life. So I got back into surfing, and I'm glad I got back into surfing.
Good for you. We're glad you got back into surfing because that brought you in our community.
Yeah.
Because you have a very gregarious personality and people like you a lot. And you were able to kind of like start being in the base of this whole vibe that I really believe at that time was when San Clemente and Dana Point kind of started being broing out more than they did when I was a grown.
Yeah.
When I was a grown, that wasn't a love fest.
That's what I was.
That was not a love fest.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you about when I was living in San Clemente. On Beach Road, when I met Christian, Nathan, and all those guys, 14. By the time I was 18, for some reason I was going to Dana Hills because my aunt lived over there. We used her address, and I had a lot of friends that lived in Dana Point. Mark Bellinger. Yeah. I grew up with Chris Billy, Vinny Del Pina, Pat O'Connell, Casey Curtis. I was kind of like a Salt Creek kid, but living in Dana Point, on Beach Road. Yeah. So I kind of felt like I liked the San Clemente surfers just as much. I didn't like favor. Yeah. But I remember going to on my high school surf team, the coach is like, hey, we're against Dana. San Clemente was against Dana. And my coach was like, don't talk. Why are you talking to those guys? And because I knew everybody from Dana Point and San Clemente. Yeah. And I was like,
what do you mean?
I could talk to anyone I want. And then finally, I just got so sick and tired of the little
rivalry.
I'm like, you know what? I'm quitting this. I'm over your surf team. So I just quit the surf team.
Yeah, it was.
And I liked it. I totally enjoyed it, but I was just
small-minded.
I surf wherever. I surf in San Clemente and I surf in Dana Point. It's no big deal.
And here I am sitting with Mark Scabs Gabriel talking about what's happening now. I'd like to talk to you about what's going on today, which we didn't really dig yet into the mint of the art gallery aspect.
The art gallery. So after the snowboarding thing, there was a years I was getting back into surfing, and then I decided, you know what? I want to create a job for myself and start doing something for myself again. So I just figured I really into art. We always printed art on the bases of the snowboards. We printed art on the boxes of the bindings we would sell, art on the T-shirts of the shirts we would sell. So I decided I wanted to open an art gallery. And I figured I've already put a lot of money into marketing the mint in Japan and over here. I might as well just use that name. It's a perfect name for an art gallery. And, I got that name from traveling to Vegas 50 times before I was 12 because I saw the original Mint Casino. Oh. And when I saw that casino in the name, I thought that is a great name for a company. Even though I was 8 or 9 years old, I was starting to see brands, marketing, and I'm like, I'm going to keep that one in the back pocket. Yeah. So I started the Mint from seeing the original Mint Casino. Okay. And when I started an art gallery, I just said, I'm going to just name it the Mint because,
it's a continuation of what you've already done.
Yeah. And then I had a gallery in Dana Point, Blue Lantern Plaza, for 4 years. I did a 3-year lease and then stayed an extra year or two. So I was there for 5 years. Then I came over to San Clemente.
Yeah. The one right there by Timmy's.
I was next to Timmy for a year or two,
that seems like a nice combo.
Yeah, and then everyone would come to Timmy's and then to my gallery.
Yeah, walk in.
Then back to Timmy's.
Totally.
Then back to my gallery.
Yeah,
and Timmy's like,
plenty of times,
Timmy's like, let's just put your gallery in my store and we'll do a collab. I was like, that's perfect.
Hell yes.
So we did that for a few years. And then when Timmy decided to move down to the ghetto area below. Yeah. Then I was like, this is a perfect time to kind of get out of retail. I love art. I still sell art. I have I have art shows. Now I'm into art still, showing my art at shows, which I never did at my gallery. I always sold other people's art. I never sold one piece of art myself that I did out of one of my galleries. But after I closed the galleries, I kind of got my juices flowing, and now I have art that I actually show. Sick. We're going to have a show on November. It's a Saturday night, November 15th. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday at Project Social in Laguna Niguel.
What is Project Social? I hear you talking. What is Project Social?
It's a place to eat.
Oh, it's a restaurant?
Diner, yeah, and they have
Oh, maybe I
killer
have seen
food
that. Yeah,
and
okay.
drinks, but they have a wall in there where they do an art wall, and they have a featured artist every month.
Sick.
So I'm the artist of the month of November.
Oh, cool.
So we're
okay,
gonna have a
at
show
Project
up
Social, you're having a show.
Yeah,
and that's on the
make it
15th of November.
For 15th of
okay,
November.
so what is that today? 5. So 10 days from today.
Exactly. So we
Okay.
and we're gonna have food and drinks and
Is there a type of food they serve?
and families.
You know, they have a theme to their food.
I haven't really looked at their menu. They have breakfast burritos, burgers. It's really good food, actually.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to go grind into there and check it out even before that.
I met
just
this
to see
lady,
the vibe.
and she's like, "You gotta try their breakfast burritos there." So I
Oh,
was
wow.
setting up a little art the other day, and I'll order a
hook me
breakfast
up.
burrito, and sure enough,
You like it?
It was really good. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, cool. So that's an event. Well, I think if we had, done a little bit more planning, we might have been able to get this episode to the public before that. But I don't think it'll come out before that. It'll come out right after.
No
but
big
either
deal.
way, we're good. We're talking
We're
about
good.
it, and it sounds like a really fun event. What else will go on besides the food? They'll have your art there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some of my forever roses that I make. I take these roses, and then I dry them out, and then I dip them in epoxy, and then mount them on white canvases like your Twin Palms Entertainment logo, and then I sell them as forever roses. Doctor, it's like,
how cool.
The best time to give a girl a rose is anytime.
Anytime.
So I got these roses,
Good for
and
you. That sounds really
talk
cool.
to the doctor.
Talk to the doctor. Wow, that sounds really cool. What does something like that sell for?
I sell them pretty cheap. They're $150 on a canvas.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll do twin roses next to each other, or 3, a smaller, a little longer
like a
stem.
family or something?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
family.
that's cool.
And I've had a lot of, one of my shows, the lady's like, God, I have a twin sister. Her name's Rose. I want this one with the 2 twin roses.
Nice.
And then my friends, my daughter's middle name is Rose. I want to buy one of these.
Nice.
So,
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Another lady's like, oh, my mother's name's Rosemary. I just a lot of people buy them off of certain things.
Interesting.
So
yeah,
that's,
where people
that's
go.
cool.
That's really cool. And then moving forward a little bit, let's talk, about, I know that you are very involved in teaching kids to surf with, everything that you do with that. So we've kind of covered your trajectory into all these different sports you do. We've talked about, what we really went down with the mint and your art reality. And then here's I think another thing that you're very passionate about. In fact, I know that another thing you're very passionate about is something that you do with kids.
Oh, yeah. So my friend James and Charlie are scientists. They owned a company called Ambry Genetics, and it was in Aliso Viejo up on the hill. Got to be really big. They started in a tiny little hole in the wall office, and it grew to be, they sold it it was a $900 million sale. And their genetics company, my friend Charlie, he's a mad scientist. But anyhow, Charlie, my scientist buddy, they're surfers, and they realized, why are all these kids that live near the ocean have a way better life expectancy? They can breathe. The saline in the salt water gets in their nostrils, and they can breathe way better. So we started a foundation in 2008 called Maliola. It means a breath of life in Hawaiian.
Yes.
And we got Eddie gave them their blessing from the Hui, so they would let us come over and do events in Hawaii and stuff like that. And they were kind of a big part of helping kind of get it going in the beginning.
Totally.
And we pair up pro surfers with kids with lung diseases. We've had in Hell Eve at our Hawaiian event, we had 5 world champions at one event. We had Lisa Anderson, Derek Coe, Sonny Garcia. There's a couple other champions in there. So we pair up pro surfers, and since 2008, we've taught over 20,000 kids with lung diseases how to surf as a natural treatment. And our tour goes from Santa Cruz to San Diego and all through Texas and New York. And the kids that are too sick to get out of the hospital, that come to go do the saline treatment and the surfing, we visit them and give them posters, and the UFC guys that work for us let them wear their belts and take them gifts in the hospital. So that's a really cool thing that I've been involved in. And
that is really cool.
That's kind of honestly, since I've been doing that since 2008, God, it's been what's that?
17 years.
17 years. So once I started doing that, that became my main focus, because I've been involved since the first one. And now here we are 17 years later. We still have, Archie actually went on a tour and has been helping us out. It was so cool. I went to Laguna, and the Flex Fit wanted to do something with their hat catalog, so that we did like a little mock-up thing. We had a few kids come down, a few surfers. Archie was there. I'm like, this is cool. Now we got Archie here teaching these kids.
That's incredible.
This is awesome.
I mean, come on. Doesn't get better.
But yeah, that's
one of the best surfers in the history of the world coming down. One of the most enigmatic, amazing type of, just a unique man, right? You know. Yeah. And it's like he comes in, and kids just got to be like, I mean, you know. And it's like Elvis Presley coming or something.
It was really cool.
I'm just saying.
I've been doing that for years, and it was a Flex Fit catalog shoot, kind of a mock-up surf deal with the kids, and we actually got paid that day. And they gave us a check at the end of the day. We all got a little, it was only a couple $100, but it was like, you know, I've drove up and down the coast for years, spending money, thousands of my own dollars and my own gas money. When I had that gallery in Dana Point, it'd be quiet. And I'm like, I needed rent, because rent was so expensive over there. I made no money for 4 years, but learned how to sell a shitload of art, make nothing. Then I came over by Timmy's, and everything I sold was pure profit, because my rent and overhead just went to nothing. And
when you collabed with Timmy,
or next door, because I would work in there with Timmy, but I went from making no money to making a bunch of money off of art. And then when I got out of it, I left with a ton of art. And I still have a couple $100,000 of art, and I just sell it whenever when I need money, I get motivated to sell it. You know?
That's cool.
But
good for you,
back
man.
to
That's really neat.
The Malleola thing. Oh, what was I going to say? Out of everything that I've done with surfing, skating, snowboarding, motocross, you know, not like saying I've had all these huge accomplishments or anything, but out of everything I've done, like working with the kids and giving back, has brought me the most amount of joy ever that I've ever done. And I continue to do surf lessons. I coach surfing. I have my own surf business. It's called South County Surf Coaching. Cool. You know, I do lessons, but I'm more of like a private surf coach. I don't have the van and matching jerseys. You're not going to see me out there walking around like a soccer team with like jerseys on. But I've tried to take more pride in like giving them undivided attention and really teaching them the right way to surf.
Personal tutoring.
Yes,
in a sense,
yes.
Right? You know, like personal coaching, right?
And I have a lot of kids that I started with that were like maybe like 10 years old. When I had my gallery, I had a surf team, and I'd help pay for surfers to go in contests and stuff. I still try to, you know, help out surfers, but I had like Hagen Johnson and a lot of kids from San Clemente. You know, I remember even Crosby would come by my gallery, and
when he was a Grom,
and even he'd show Griffin Colapindo would show up, and like he was kind of already sponsored, but Crosby and a lot of these other kids would come by the gallery, and I'd give them whatever product, help them out. And
now Crosby's on the world tour.
Crosby's on the world tour.
Isn't that amazing?
If I would have known that, I would have sponsored him a little bit more back then. Got more pictures of him in the hats.
Yeah, totally. And what a cool kid, you know. Like the Crosby, Griffin too. But you know, Crosby just kind of got a special way about himself.
Yeah,
he really
he's
does.
A cool kid.
And all that group, you know, we got such a group coming out of here, you know. So you think there's some, you know, hot blood coming out of DP that's going to give San Clemente a run for their money? To try to make someone on the tour, you know?
Let me think. We have a lot of good surfers. As far as the contesting, I haven't been really following the contesting.
Just, you know,
for the
if there's
little
any
kids,
Groms that you knew
there's
about.
There's definitely
some
good kids over there that rip. And
you would think, because Creek is so good.
A lot of San Clemente.
Highly consistently.
See, this, right? A lot of these San Clemente surfers prep themselves at Salt Creek.
Definitely.
They're over there. Griffin, Crosby, Cade. I mean, in summer, not so much in summer because they go to lowers in summer. Once summer's over and we get the west swells and the northwest swells and the right soft point, like you were saying, how the locals like to come surf the wave. Totally. They're out there before the locals from Dana Point are out there.
Yeah, Creek has always been a thing. Think about all the way back in the days when Flame was out there shooting.
And they love gravels too. The San Clemente kids. They love gravels.
It's hard not to. The water's so clean looking. I mean, it's just got the way the sandbars are, the beach, the whole thing. And it's a nice little 5-minute escape from San Clemente into a whole thing that's got a different exposure to swell. I mean, it's just a whole different poppy kind of spontaneous. It's like so exciting there. I've always loved Creek, you know, and thank God for me, people seem stoked on the Doctor when I get there. It's not like I've never really been there and felt like it was like, you know, no one was tripping on me because you know what? Because I've always been I don't do all that.
I remember everything's kind of different now, you know. Just respect your elders, you know. Give people waves. Don't paddle to the peak right when you paddle out. That's just the simple surfing rules. Totally. But like, I remember when Christian was living up in L.A. and Herbie would go up there to surf. Christian was like, "No, Dad, it's very localized up here." He goes, "I don't know if you can go surf this break." He goes, "You have to be a local," because Christian was kind of a local.
Herbie was like, "No, I'll surf anywhere."
He goes,
I want.
"Christian, I'm a fucking local everywhere. I'll surf wherever I
want."
Totally.
And Herbie,
that was funny,
and that's legit for him because he is
another Christian story I wanted to talk about here because I was watching your. I think talking about Timmy Patterson with the surf shapers, I ride Timmy Patterson's. He was talking about McElroy and stuff. And McElroy, I remember before McElroy passed away, I would get to take him around San Clemente. We'd go eat at Chronic Taco or the taco spots because he'd be hanging around the shop but not shaping a lot.
Yeah, McElroy.
And I'd have my gallery. I'd be like, "Oh, we'll have someone watch gallery. Me and you are gonna go. We'd go eat lunch and we'd go to these different spots for like a month and a half. Once a week, we'd do it." Our tour.
A lunch tour.
And I remember when Christian came over to the gallery or something and he saw McElroy there, he goes, "Hey, McElroy," he goes, is my board done yet? And McElroy's like, "Oh, I'm just getting around to shaping it." He goes, "Jesus," he goes, "I ordered it 30 years ago." He goes, "You're the last shaper I won a surf contest on was 89 at the Lowers contest." And he's all, "I'm just getting ready to shape that thing now." And Christian's like, "Jesus, it's been on order for 30 years. I was like, "That happened."
That is so funny, man. That is so funny. Yeah, you wouldn't say that Chris McElroy was a production master.
Right.
But what you would say is, I will say, I'm pretty sure that I've had more Magic McElroys than I've ever had another shaper shape me magic boards, which I would say my magic boards have come from. Right now, I have one. I haven't surfed in a few years because of my shoulder, but I have a Rick Rock that I got from Josh Baxter.
Yeah, I love
that.
Rick
When
Rock.
Josh got that board, I could tell it was just a little full for him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's actually a 6'3". So that's a little long by nowadays standards, right? But I'm a little bigger than Josh, and I saw him ride it. We would go surfing. I'd see him ride it. They go, "Josh, you're good. You surf on everything. You surf good, you know."
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like Josh. That board's that would be magic for me. Right. And then one day Josh rode it a couple more times. He goes, "KV, you want to buy this board for me?" I go, "Oh my God." And right now, yes. So that's been a magic board I've had. It's a magic Rick Rock. Magic.
Wow.
Can't stand on a wrong spot on the board. And then I've also had magic McElroys. There are incredibly some magic boards out of that man. And then also I want to throw it out there. I've had some psychotically magic Timmy Pattersons.
Right.
And I want to throw it out there to Cole. I've also had a couple of really magic Coles. So that's my boys. I've never surfed. That's it. But those guys have, you know, shaped me some boards in my life that have actually been so amazing. And all my friends, basically everyone rides within that.
Yeah, I was going to say everybody.
Except for a lot of guys ride Mayhem.
Everybody you just talked about, including Mayhem. I remember I rode like the first.
I actually had a couple of magic. I've had a couple of magic Mayhems too. Actually,
yeah, one of the first 4 Mayhems he ever shaped. I think I got one of the first 5 boards because he was painting my boards.
Sick.
I think, and maybe I forget who was making them before, but like right in the beginning, I was getting Mayhems when he became a shaper. Like I have a photo of me and him in the glass shop, and I was like, "Who's that?" And they're like, "That's Mayhem." I was like,
"Wow,
it was
incredible!"
So long ago, but
it was. But he rose, and here we are, and it's like we all kind of come from this hood in a way, right? Where it's this neighborhood where the passion for surfing is so powerful.
Yeah.
That like everyone you know somehow is connected to the shape, or they're a filmmaker, or they're an editor at a magazine, or they design clothes, or they're pro, or they it's incredible.
Touching on
right?
rock, like one of the pro contests I won, which is Surfer Cross. It's been going on 25 years. We pair up pro surfers and pro moto guys, and it's at Paula, and then the surfing's at Trail 6. So when you get to the event, they put all the pro motocross riders' names in a hat, and all the pro surfers walk up and draw their partner and that's your partner to race with, and then the next day you paddle out with them. So it's mixing pro surfers and pro motocross riders together. But the one year that I won that with my partner Dakota Tedder from Team Kawasaki, I was riding a Rick Rock.
Yes, he's just got some magic on his hands, you know. I mean, and right here, and think about all the talent that comes out of here, connected to the people that shape the boards for that talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so amazing. And even now, I mean, isn't Mayhem just crushing that whole world WSL shaper contest thing?
He
they
has
do?
a lot of.
He just runs
a lot of
I mean, he's
tours.
just like, I'm like, isn't it like 2 or 3 years in a row?
Yeah,
he's the
he
best
just
shaper in
beats
the world.
himself every contest.
It's
Takes
incredible.
himself out.
It's like, you know, basically it's incredible. Then you got Merrick. I've had a couple of.
He
I've
gets
had
the
a couple
top
of.
2 or 3 guys. It's like first takes the other guy.
Yeah, it's
so now
insane,
it's
man.
like just came to a head where
Yeah.
like he's knocking himself out of the contest.
It's crazy. I do got to say, I've had a couple of Magic Merricks in my
Yeah,
life
he's-
as well, right? Those are magic surfboards.
I had
Sometimes,
one Merrick too.
you know,
It
couple.
was good.
But we don't have him in our backyard shaping for us, you know.
Yeah.
So we have he's up in Santa Barbara, and you know,
I
it's
had
all
this
cool.
one
and everything.
Merrick that Kelly Slater got me a deal, and I went and picked it up, and like I had Timmy Patterson boards and Mayhem boards, and it was like the thing worked pretty good. It was a custom board, and I'm like, I don't know who shaped it. I don't care. Just
Sure.
give me a Merrick. you
Sure,
know?
sure.
But I was hoping someone, since Kelly helped me get it ordered,
Yeah,
it was
you're hoping
maybe
it was
something
someone-
decent.
yeah.
And the thing worked decent. It wasn't anything special, but every once in a while when you get up into the lip, I remember I came up to do like a air, and I didn't catch air, and I did a lip slide, and the tail of the board like slid across. The lip went like that, and I slid across the wave like a skater does a tail
like
slide.
coping.
And
Yeah.
they slide. I did one of those like really far. Like it would do certain things just like
Magic.
and I didn't even try to do that.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa. And then other times it's kind of bog. It just do
But
whatever.
it's a special brand, right? But
Yeah.
right here,
There was a
we've
few
got so
things
many
that it
special
did,
brands,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, if you get it doing that all the time.
Oh man, that brand has shaped some of the most best boards in the world at certain times. You think of Tom Curran
Yeah.
on Merrick's, you think of Kelly Slater on Merrick's,
Yeah.
you think of Bobby Martinez on Merrick's.
Yeah.
I mean, holy crap, those are 3 so incredible surfers,
Yeah.
right? And they're on Merrick's.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot to be said, and of course many other people as well. But for us to always get that was a little bit of like a, oh, it's the Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Who's your boy up there or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was never going to walk in a shop and pay
Buy one,
retail. You got to be out of your mind. But somehow we get a connection to get a Merrick.
Yeah.
But like here, like we got all our boys, you know, our friends making boards and they're world-class shapers. So we're kind of blessed by that.
Now it's came down to like, yeah, Merrick's really good, but we have 5 Merricks right here in town.
Exactly.
As far as the talent of
Yes.
shaping it.
And they're your friends.
And they're
like
your
you
buddies.
hang out with Rick
Yeah.
Rock, you know. You talk with, you know, hang out with Timmy, hang
Yeah.
out with Cole. I'm just saying, like, you know, we would love to still be hanging out with McElroy, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I'm gonna throw another one in there. I've had a couple Magic Randy Slay boards over the
Oh,
years
yeah.
too.
I had a
you know,
bunch of
our
Slays,
Slay.
too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's not pick it about that rock star.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Give it up to our Slay on my show, man. Also, Chris McElroy, we love you guys. Okay, you know what I want to know, Mr. Mark Gabriel? Who are your top 5 favorite surfers of all time?
My top 5, God, it's so hard, but let's see here. My top 5, I would have to go with the whole Fletcher family as one. Christian,
Okay, we're throwing the
Nathan,
family into one of those
Christian,
numbers.
Nathan, Herbie, and Grayson Fletcher as a surfer. He loves surfing just
Yep.
as much as skating.
The Fletchers.
Fletchers are one of my top 5.
Okay.
And then Matt Archibald, for sure.
Without a
Without
doubt.
question. Buttons is in there. And then, who else? Buttons. Oh, Jay Adams,
Nice.
the skateboarder, because
Yes.
he loves surfing
He
just
did
as
love
much
surfing.
as skateboarding. So
Yes.
that made me love
and we all
him
love
first.
that. I mean,
And
what a
then,
cool dude. May his soul rest in peace.
The Andy Irons, the whole Irons family, Andy, Bruce Irons, and Axel Irons. You know, Axel Irons, he's going to be a pro motocross racer. Andy's son,
Wow.
he's
Was he like
15 years
now?
old.
Okay.
He's a great, probably solid novice rider. Like not like his race speed. He's from probably novice, but he's 15. He's a big kid. So he's learning from the top pros. Like Chase Sexton, you know, goes to Kauai a lot. He's like one of the top pros. Axel Hodges teaches Axel Irons. So like he's 15. So 16, 17, 18, 19, he'll move up a division every year. So by the time he's 20 years old, in another 5 years, he could be ready to be a pro racer.
Incredible. Axle irons on the pro motocross world.
On the pipe, axle irons. Keep an eye on axle irons and motocross.
So irons in your top slot of there, just saying like in your top 5.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think if there's anybody else, and there's so many of them. Derek Ho and Michael Ho from Hawaii, are just because their passion and love for surfing.
Especially when it gets big.
Yeah. And
gosh, man.
Probably back in the day.
Anyways, those guys are anyways.
The doctor was right up there for me. A lot of San Clemente, I always looked up to the San Clemente surfers, but when the doctor... I might get a fun wave once in a while. We got to get you back out there.
Yeah, I know. It's like my shoulder's killing me. But you know what? I'm staying active in so many ways, and I'm keeping the dream alive on the, keeping active.
Yeah.
But then I just got to get, I did surgery on my shoulder. It didn't really work, okay? But now it's like maybe there could be a couple different pathways.
Yeah,
we got to get what is it called? Stem cell. I've looked into that. And then shoulder replacement.
Even though you talk about your shoulder, my shoulder, I hit it snowboarding. It's cracked my right here collarbone to shoulder's broken. I got to get the surgery, but see all the bones sticking out. No internal damage.
You literally have a shoulder boner.
No internal damage at all, but if I don't do wrestling, none of that shit, because if someone grabs my arm and pulls back, it can pop out of socket, but hasn't happened in 10 years. I kind of know. I do.
You have range of motion, you can paddle, yeah. Good for you. Well, I like that, and your top 5 is very inspiring.
I just owe so much to, the surfers, the older crew, you, Roy Gonzalez, the people of San Clemente, the Shapers, the Herbie Fletchers, just everybody that promotes surfing in San Clemente. I tried to stay close to that because I'm just really a big fan of surfers and motocross riders. I never wanted to be the best at anything, but I just wanted to be good at everything, and I was very lucky to be able to hang around a lot of the best motocross racers and surfers in the world.
That's
and
really
snowboarding.
Cool.
But being able to be around those type of people has elevated my everything in sports, and I just want to thanks to all the people and athletes that came before me in all those sports, because I've looked up to so many different ones, and it's kind of made me who I am today.
I see that in you, man. I see that humble, reverent respect. It's really cool. It's a big thing, and it's just really cool. And I would say, on a parting note, because you mentioned so much with motocross, is there a top 5 motocross?
Yeah, there is. Top 5 motocross for me would be
all time. All time.
All time. I would have to come back to be my childhood hero that used to take me riding, and a Team Kawasaki, Jeff Ward, IndyCar racer. He was winning the Indy 500, and he ran out of gas on his last lap, and he coasted into second place after was a pro motocross racer, got into driving. Damn. So Jeff Ward would be number 1. Jeremy McGrath I looked up to him.
Hard not to. Yeah.
And then this kid that died when he was 15 years old. His name was Bruce Bunch. He died with the Duke of Oakley in a car track race. They were at Poche trying to make it through a railroad tracks, and the railroad lights weren't working. But he was one of the best. He was like kind of like a David Egger. It was like, he was like the best motocross kid, and he got killed. So Bruce Bunch, and then a couple I love what Travis Pastrana has done. The guy's a nutty.
Hello.
And then I love how he likes to do other sports.
Yep.
And then who else would be? Jeff Matasevich is one of my good childhood friends that I surf with now, and he's just he's a 3-time world champion for Kawasaki, but he's my age and just loves motocross, and I'm teaching him how to surf.
Sick.
And so yeah, those are some of the people that have influenced me in my motocross.
Super cool, my man Scabs. So stoked to have you in on my show.
Thank you.
And really stoked to hang out with you. And thank you came to talk to the doctor.
Yeah, talk to the doctor.